Hello everyone, all 22 and a few film review, giving you guys the next episode of Draft Wraps, my draft class analysis series where we dive deep into all 32 classes, letting you guys know how I feel about every pick according to my big board, who's left on the board positionally, is it a team need, is it a scheme fit, what is their path to starting, is there a role projection if there is one, all that good stuff. So if you want to learn more about the Chargers class that we're going to be talking about today, or you want to know about any of the other 31 classes, make sure you stick around, go through the channel, subscribe, do whatever, so you aren't missing any of the 32 teams that are going to be coming out here. Now, like I said, we're going to be talking about the Chargers today, a very good class. They got a B plus for me, a 3.2325 numerical grade. That numerical grade coming from an equation I made for you guys, so you guys could have a more concrete feel about how I feel about every class. That way we could rank them. That way you guys can see how different kind of letter grades stack on top of each other, all that good stuff. More about the analysis and the letter grades, but the numerical grade is just an extra little fun thing so we can come back later, see where I was right, see where I was wrong, all that good stuff. But again, a B plus 3.2325 numerical grade, the same grade as the last two classes, also from the same division in the AFC West. Very good drafting division in my opinion. They all hit the mark very well, and obviously we have not gone to the Chiefs yet, so one of the best drafting divisions in my opinion. Now, they start off with Omarion Hampton, a running back out of UNC, and then go Trey Harris, a wide receiver out of Ole Miss, Jamari Caldwell, an IDL out of Oregon, Kyle Kennard, an edge out of South Carolina, Keandre Lambert-Smith, a wide receiver out of Auburn, Oronde Gadsden, a tight end out of Syracuse, Branson Taylor, a interior / tackle out of Pittsburgh, RJ Mickens, a safety out of Clemson, and Triquez Bridges out of Florida, a cornerback. Very, very good class to me. Hit their needs from top to bottom and hit their needs early in my opinion. Their top needs for me were getting a wide receiver that could either play X or stretch, preferably do both. Someone that could stretch the field but also do some of that dirty work on the outside. Getting a nose tackle to help replace what they lost in this offseason, help, just structure that run defense, a true run defending nose tackle, and then an edge, just kind of help out that room in general. Tui Tuipulotu is a good edge in my opinion. Khalil Mack obviously still good, but coming towards the end of his career, their edge 3 is Bud Dupree. Not the best edge 3 in my opinion, so getting another edge at some point, they all hit those needs and help their team in just a great way in my opinion. Like I said, a B plus, almost an A minus for me. Very, very, very close. Let's talk about Omarion Hampton, their first pick, pick 22, a running back out of UNC. No trade compensation on this one. Very, very good pick in my opinion. I gave this one an A. Our running back wasn't their biggest need in my opinion, but still one they should definitely hit in this class. They bring in Najee Harris on a 1-year Band-Aid type deal. Don't have a lot of other guys that bring much excitement outside of that. Omarion Hampton, man, this is a 3-down running back with some juice, with a lot of size. Very good in my opinion. Was number 23 on my big board. My second running back was the second one taken off the board. Taken at pick 22, so was the best running back you're going to get in my opinion, and taken right at the value, should be able to get him. Great pick in my opinion. Like I said, an A. A 6-foot, 220-pound running back, going to be 22 throughout his rookie season. A 9.7 RAS. Tested a little bit better than I thought he would, but still a very good athlete. Not the best overall change of direction, but still has some nice juice, some nice shiftiness, one cut ability. Very just strong, powerful, full-sized back. Has some deficiencies in pass protection, but not enough to make you want to take him off the field. He can definitely grow and be a good pass protector, and also has some receiving chops. We'll get into that in his kind of stats section, but just a very good 3-down back. If Ashton Jeanty wasn't in this class, he would be my number 1 back. Not far and away, but pretty comfortably my number 1 back. I think he is a very, very good player. Had 1,660 yards, 15 touchdowns, 5.9 yards per carry, 38 receptions on 43 targets, 373 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns, and 1 fumble. Insane production. You see the receiving chops. They try to get him involved early and often. Not the most nuanced route runner, but has some juice, can get open, can separate, has some pretty solid hands. I'm going to keep being redundant, but very, very good back. A 2024 second team All-American, a first team ACC running back selection, and second team all-purpose selection. I love this pick for them, man. An A, can immediately slot in as their starting running back, fits super well in a Greg Roman gap scheme. They're going to get this guy producing early and often. He's going to be a demon this year. If you're into fantasy football, I would look to get this guy. Going to be a very good player for the Chargers, man. I'm confident in that. Their next pick, they go Trey Harris, a wide receiver out of Ole Miss, with pick 55, the 23rd pick of the second round. Again, no trade compensation on this one. Was a little bit early for me in terms of true value. Was my 76th overall player, taken at pick 55. Was my 12th overall receiver, and the 7th one taken off the board. So in terms of big board value, a bit early for me in terms of positionally. I thought there was a lot of guys that should go ahead of them. But when we talk about the guys that they need in this room, like I said, an X, or preferably an X that could stretch the field, Trey Harris is exactly that. You can mold him into that X kind of receiver build. This guy is a deep threat. Ran a 4.54. Did not expect that. Don't know if he was injured or had some lingering issues going into the 40, but I expected him to test a lot better than that. Still put up a 9.23 RAS. It's not like he was a bad tester, but I just expected a faster 40 out of him. This guy can definitely get down the field very well. Some of the best flashes in this class, his flashes are worth the 55th pick and are worth more than the 55th pick. Some of the nuance he shows in his routes, the ball winning ability, the ability to separate deep, come down with contested catches, catch the ball with guys over him. It's incredible. Just some of the worst consistency and down-to-down want in his routes. Sometimes he's just out there jogging. Sometimes you can just tell he's not really trying to separate. But man, when he wants to and when he flashes, it's absolutely incredible. If they can get him to reach his ceiling, he will just completely erase all of the receiver problems they've had in this room. Now, obviously, outside of their number one guy, Ladd McConkey, they're absolute dude. They have Quentin Johnston, who knows how that team feels about him at this point. They have Mike Williams, who they brought in free agency. Not the same Mike Williams they had when they first drafted him. Definitely want to look to upgrade over him at this point. Not a ton of guys you're super excited about after that. They have Jalen Reagor in this room. Not 100% remembering who else is in this room, but a lot of open positions. Not anyone you're super considerably considering as a lock. Trey Harris, I think, can slot it immediately as their wide receiver number 2. Should be playing on the line as their X type of receiver. Very good player, man. If he can hit their upside, this is absolutely great. Again, a 6'2", 205-pound receiver, going to be 23 throughout his rookie year. 9.23 RAS, tested very well outside of that, just pure 40 number. In 8 games, due to injury, had 60 receptions on 76 targets, 1,030 yards, 7 touchdowns, 7.2 yards per catch, and 5 drops. Don't like to see those drops, but the yards per catch, the amount of yards, the touchdowns in only 8 games is absolutely incredible production. Was a 2024 second-team All-American and third-team SEC selection. Very good player, man. I would be surprised if he's not their wide receiver 2 earlier than later, and should be getting a ton of snaps very early, especially in that X role. I really hope they don't try to sit in behind Mike Williams and use Mike Williams in that true X role. Trey Harris should be getting those reps, should be getting that development. This guy can be absolutely great. Rated it a B+, just due to the true value of it. You know, I thought he should have been more of a third-round type guy. I had 5 guys that were ahead of him. Now, when you kind of consider the 5 guys I had ahead of him, in Jalen Knoll, and Jalen Royals, and L.K. Maynor, and Jack Besh, all those guys I don't think fit this room as good as Trey Harris does. I forgot to mention Kyle Williams too. Kyle Williams, Jalen Knoll, Jalen Royals, more of Z types to me. Jack Besh, more of a true slot type. L.K. Maynor is more of an X type, but in terms of separating deep and being able to just be a 3-tier separator, Trey Harris shows a lot more in that aspect deep than L.K. Maynor does. So I understand, for this room specifically, wanting to go with him over an L.K. Maynor. So I like it. I think this is a good pick for them. Again, not a A for me because of the value, but a B+. Still a very good pick and should be very productive for them early if he can hit his upside. If he doesn't, tough. This can be kind of another iffy receiver for them, but should be a very good receiver for them in my opinion. Their next pick, they go Jamari Caldwell, an IDL out of Oregon with the 86th pick, the 22nd pick of the 3rd round. Now, again, this was a little bit early for me in terms of true value. He was the 102nd player on my board, taken with pick 86, so a little bit early. But in terms positionally, he was my 14th interior D lineman, the 12th one taken off the board. So positionally, not terrible, especially when you consider he is a true nose, and he is the best nose available for me in terms of IDLs. Someone that can play that 0 tech, that 1 tech, someone who could take on double teams. He can do that for you. This is a rock in the early down run game. Also flashes a bit of pass rush ability. It is very inconsistent, but some of the flashes in the power in his hands is definitely NFL power. He's just got to be able to learn a nuanced tool belt, how to counter, how to consistently get low leverage and replace his hands. But when he flashes, man. If you can get him to reach his upside, this is a 3-down interior lineman for you and just a rock in the early down game right now. I love this for them. Like I said, I wanted them to get a true nose tackle. He fits in this room perfectly. I would be surprised if he didn't start sooner than later over Tier Tart as their true nose. This is a guy with a ton of upside, man. A ton of just run playing ability right now, a good floor. Like this player a lot. Again, a tiny bit early in terms of true value, but my best nose left on the board, so I like the value for him. A-, not a great, A+, A pick, not an insane value, but great fit for their team at a position of need. Still a very good pick in my opinion, an A-. A 6'2", 332-pound interior lineman, going to be 24 during his rookie season. A 3.49 RAS, didn't test very well. That's not why you're drafting him, man. You're drafting him to take up space in a split double teams. Had 0 sacks, 8 hurries, 4.5 TFLs, 29 tackles, 3 PBUs, and 1 forced fumble on the season. A 2024 Big Ten honorable mention in his first year at Oregon. Spent his prior 2 years at Houston, where he actually had a lot more sack production. And the prior 2 years in community college, 1 year at Hutchinson, 1 year at Independence. So a lot of moving around for him. Definitely played very well in his first year in the Big Ten. I thought he was going to be a lot higher on my board when I was watching Derek Harmon. He was flashing off the tape. Didn't feel necessarily as high as him as I got onto a down-to-down basis. But man, all the ability in the world if you can get him to reach his total upside. Their next pick, they go Kyle Kennard, an edge out of South Carolina, with the 125th pick, the 23rd pick of the 4th round. I like this a lot for them. It isn't an I love it pick, but an I like it pick. Now, as we get into the day 3 grades, remember that the day 3 grades are on a different grading scale. The day 1 and 2 grades more on a letter grade basis, as those are graded more harshly than the day 3 grades. Teams on day 1 and day 2 are more going for BPA and BPA for needs. Day 3 is much different vision. If you can get one of those guys you feel can do that for you, that's great. But it's mostly adding aspects to a room, whether it's, a deep threat to a room that doesn't have a lot of juice in terms of receivers, or maybe you need a just big interior run clogger because your defensive running game was just very inadequate last season. Maybe you don't have a lot of pass coverage in your linebacker room, and you're getting a safety converted to linebacker late. Something like that, just upgrading aspects of a room, not necessarily getting BPA, getting starters, or getting guys that you necessarily are going to mold into a starter in year 1 or 2, but guys that upgrade aspects of a room and may have potential to start down the line. Now, like I said, if you can get one of those guys you feel is more of a 3rd round type guy or someone that could start for you in a year or 2, great, but not necessarily the ultimate vision they're going for on day 3. So the day 3 grades are a little bit more lax, graded on, and I love it, I like it, I see the vision, or I don't get it. Now, a lot of these are going to be I like it. The Chargers had a very good day 3 in my opinion. But if you want a more concrete definition on why I like it, I love it, or find out more of the I don't see the vision or I see the vision, I don't get it type of definitions, they'll be down in the description, as well as anything else you might have questions about as far as where I get my information, abbreviations, anything you're seeing up on your screen, all going to be in the description. So if you want a more concrete definition on those grades, it'll be in there. I will be explaining why I like it, why I love it, and in other classes if I see the vision or I don't get it, as we talk about the picks. But all of that stuff, like I said, in the description. Kyle Kennard, an edge out of South Carolina, like I said, with the 125th pick, the 23rd pick of the 4th round. I like it. I think this was a great pick for them. Like I said earlier, I really wanted them to go after an edge. Khalil Mack is kind of getting to the end of his career. Bud Dupree as your edge 3 is definitely not who you want in your room as your edge 3. Get a more youthful upgrade, and I think Kyle Kennard is that in terms of true pass rush. In terms of 3-down kind of ability, didn't love his run game in terms of strong side run defending. Didn't shock and shed well. Doesn't necessarily see the run great from a point of attack perspective, but is a splash playmaker on the backside. He can sip through traffic. He has the athleticism to make plays off the backside, but they're drafting him more to be a juiced up kind of get off type pass rusher that could really bend around the edge, has a lot of speed around the edge. Now, there is a reason why he's falling this far. I did think this is good value for him. I think he was more of a late 4th type of guy, mid to late 4th type of guy. Has a lot to work on in terms of true pass rush plan and tool belt, but flashes a lot of ability just to get off the ball and get around the edge. I really like this for them. 6'4", 254-pound edge, going to be 24 in his rookie season, towards the end of the rookie season. 8.57 RAFs, like I said, has a lot of juice, a lot of get off. Not a ton of strength, not a ton of run defending ability, but they're drafting him just as pure pass rush in this room, and they need some more youthful pass rush in this room. So I really like this for them. 11.5 sacks, 10 hurries, 15.5 TFLs, 28 tackles, 1 PBU, and 3 forced fumbles on the season. Very, very good stats in his first year at South Carolina. Spent his previous 4 years at Georgia Tech, came over here, and just kind of blew up. 2024 second-team All-American and a first-team SEC selection, again in his first year at South Carolina. You'll love to see that. Has a lot of upside in terms of true pass rush, has the size to be able to defend the run. Just got to get him to get a little bit stronger, see the game a little bit better from that perspective, but a very fun player for them. I expect him to come in and compete for that edge 3 spot. Would be surprised if he didn't win it at some point during the season, may not be immediately, but he should be rotating in a lot, in my opinion. Their next pick, they go Keandre Lambert-Smith, a wide receiver out of Auburn, with the 158th pick, the 22nd pick of the 5th round. Again, an I like it pick. It is a double up at receiver, but like we mentioned earlier, they don't have a ton of names in that room that are for sure locks. Keandre Lambert-Smith upgrades the deep threat ability of this room immediately. I really like that for them. Keandre Lambert-Smith, I thought, was more of a 5th round type guy, a late 5th guy. So I think this was right about his value. I think it's good value for him. I think he should compete for wide receiver 4 immediately, if not win that job. If not winning that job, being around wide receiver 4 to 5, I expect him to either compete with Quentin Johnston or Mike Williams for that kind of 4th receiver role. We'll see who gets it. Should be at him at some point during the season. He should get a lot of rotational reps, even if he doesn't win that 4th receiver spot, just because he is the best true deep threat, in my opinion, in that room. The guy at 6'1", 190, put up a 9.03 RAS, can absolutely fly down the field, ran in the 4.3s, a 23.6-year-old, going to be 24 towards the middle of the season. Really like this for them. Like I said, a double up, but he adds another aspect to that room that they don't necessarily have. I think he's more than a comfortable roster fit, or kind of to make the roster. Good value for him. Just overall good pick, in my opinion. I like it. Had 50 receptions on 80 targets, 981 yards, 8 touchdowns, 19.6 yards per catch, 4 drops on those 80 targets. A 2024 second-team SEC selection in his first year at Auburn. spent his previous 4 years at Penn State, so you like to see him coming into a new room and immediately producing. Again, and I like it pick. Very solid. Their next pick, they go Aronde Gadsden the second, a tight end out of Syracuse, with the 165th pick, the 29th pick of the 5th round. Finally, some trade compensation to talk about. Trading up, sending 181 and 209 for 165. In terms of value, it's not the absolute best. I thought he was more of a 6th round type guy. So in the back end of the 5th, I think you're getting him right about round where you should be able to get him. If they're taking a tight end, I would have loved them to do it earlier to get a true difference maker in that room. That could be a number 1 or a number 2. You know, they have Will Dissly. They just brought in Tyler Conklin in free agency. I don't necessarily think Aronde Gadsden starts over those guys, but I like this pick because I still do think he will rotate in a lot. Not only does Greg Roman like to use 3 tight ends a lot, he loves to get him involved in the passing game, and Aronde Gadsden is one of the best pure wide receiver tight ends in this class, kind of receiving tight ends in this class. Was actually recruited to Syracuse as a wide receiver and converted to a tight end. And in his first year converting to tight end, broke the Syracuse record for single receiving yards for the tight end position. So absolutely love to see that. A very, very just good red zone threat, 3rd down threat, slot him out in the wide and get him on a mismatch type guy. I think he adds a lot of receiving capability to this room. I don't think Will Dissly and Tyler Conklin are inadequate receivers, but they're not plus receivers in any way. So I do think he does get a lot of snaps in this offense in his first year. I like it for that reason. A lot of other teams may be taking a tight end 3 in the 5th. You might be able to go with a more impactful position. But honestly, for this team, I think he is going to play a major impact for them in year 1, being their kind of true slot wide type receiver tight end. True red zone target for them. I would be surprised if he doesn't in year 1 have a decent amount of snaps. A 6'5", 243-pound tight end, going to be 22 in his rookie season. 7.95 RAS, not an outworldly athlete, not a super plus athlete, but definitely has the nuance in his routes, definitely has the wiggle to be able to create mismatches against safeties and linebackers. So very, very solid pick in my opinion. I like this a lot for them. Had 73 receptions as a tight end on 103 targets, 934 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 12.8 yards per catch, which is honestly pretty good for a tight end. A 2024 third-team All-American and first-team ACC selection, set the ACC record for tight end receptions in a season with 73 in 2024. And also, like I said before, broke the Syracuse record for receiving yards for a tight end in 2022. I believe it was 979, somewhere around that. Very good production, very nice receiving tight end. Not going to offer you a ton in blocking, but they still have 2 other dudes in that room that are at least decent as wide tight ends. So you feel comfortable with him, being a wing, being a slot, maybe flexing out wide in certain packages. I like this a lot for them, man. Adds to their total weapons. I thought tight end was, again, a position they could have gone. If they were to do it, I wish they got it a little bit later. But if you're going to take one at the spot, I think this is probably the best type of fit of tight end you can get. Now, in terms of value, some other guys went a little bit later that maybe you could have added to this room. Thomas Fidone falls to the 7th, but probably due to injury, so I understand it. Like I said, it's pretty solid value for Gadsden here, so I like this pick for them. I think he's going to be a good player for them. Branson Taylor, a tackle/interior line out of Pittsburgh, played tackle. Some people think he profiles more to a guard. On our lads, he has them in their depth chart as a guard, so we'll see. Taken with the 199th pick, the 23rd pick of the 6th round, out of Pittsburgh, a very, very big, long guard at 6'6", 320. Like I said, has been playing tackle over at Pittsburgh, starting at left tackle and right tackle. Missed a lot of games this season. Definitely going to be falling a bit because of that. I thought this was a guy who maybe could have gone in the 5th or the 4th. if it wasn't for that injury, but unfortunate for him, he falls. An athletic guy tested with an 8.52, going to be 23 throughout his rookie year. So getting a full, length 6'6" guard with nice movement ability at this spot in the sixth that, if not for the injury, probably could have went a little bit higher. I like that a lot. I like that a lot for them. 344 pass block snaps, allowed 2 sacks, 9 hurries. Cannot find how many hits he allowed this season, so don't hate me. Don't know why I couldn't find that one anywhere. It was very difficult to find. Like I said, a starter at left tackle and right tackle, a 2-year starter for Pittsburgh, a very solid player overall. They need interior and exterior depth, in my opinion. They have Trey Pipkins, who has been a body out there when guys have gotten injured. Jamari Slayer, I'm pretty sure it is, Sailor, something like that. Not the most upside in the world, but a solid backup. Outside of that, the backup is the depth is very, very thin. So I don't mind them getting a lengthy kind of, athletic type piece this late in the sixth. Definitely were some guys that, due to the injury, you might be wanting to take above him, but again, solid value for him. I don't think it's a bad pick at all. Their next pick, they go R.J. Mickens, a safety out of Clemson. This was an I love it pick. I thought this was very good value for R.J. Mickens, taken with the 38th pick in the 6th round, pick 214. I thought this was more of a 5th round type guy, so getting him at the very, very back end of the 6th, I think is absolutely great value. Also, considering who they have in their room, I really like Derwin James still in that safety room. Alohi Gilman is definitely not a bad safety. But in terms of the overall depth at that safety room, outside of that, it's getting really, really thin. They have Tony Jefferson, who unretired and came off their practice squad, has been playing some meaningful reps for them, but someone who's definitely not a long-term option. He needs some more youth. They have Elijah Molden over from, I believe, the Jets after he was with the Titans, or it might just be straight from the Titans. Definitely not a high upside type safety guy that you're looking as a long-term lock or, eventual starter for that room. They need some more young depth, in my opinion. Getting RJ Mickens at this spot, I think, is absolutely insane value. A full-sized safety at 6 foot, 200 pounds. In today's NFL, that's kind of more full-size safety size. Unfortunately, you're not getting a ton of guys that are over 210, 220 anymore, unless you're looking at a Nick Amenwari. But especially at the spot, you're not going to be able to get a ton of big safeties. This is a guy who has been in Clemson for a long time, so has picked up a lot of knowledge, hopefully, over that time. Someone who I think can come in and eventually win a safety job, has the size and the athleticism to be able to do it, has a lot to be able to get to that spot, but like I said, this was great value for him. I wouldn't be surprised if he wins that third safety job, either at the backup strong or the backup free for them, and is an eventual starter for them down the line. Very good pick, in my opinion. A 6 foot, 199 pound safety, like I was saying. Going to be 24 during his rookie season. Definitely an older prospect. 8.59 RAS, not a bad tester at all. You feel comfortable with that type of athleticism out at the safety position. Had 2 interceptions, 7 PBUs, 75 tackles, and 6 TFLs on the season. 18 missed tackles. Definitely not great. You don't love to see that, but the coverage ability for him is definitely there. Was a 2-time ACC honorable mention in his 2 years as a starter. Was at that school for a long time. Got 2 years to start. Definitely didn't take a giant step up that you would like to see him have. Could have got him pushed up in some of these higher rounds, but still a very solid player in my opinion. And I love it pick because I think it is a great value, and he should be able to come in and compete for snaps right away as their third safety. Someone who has the potential to maybe be a starting safety for you down the line. Taken in the 6th. Great value in my opinion. Great value. Their last pick, they go Traquise Bridges out of Florida, a cornerback, with the 40th pick of the 7th round, the 256th pick, one of the very last picks of the 7th round. I like this for them. When you look at their cornerback room, they have Cam Hart, who's been playing good for them. They bring in Dante Jackson from the Steelers, who's all right. They bring in Benjamin St. Juste, who really doesn't push the needle for me that well. Outside of that, You got Tar Heap Still, and I'm forgetting that name, I'm sorry, but a lot of guys who don't really push the needle for you. So I definitely like them getting corner in this class. Definitely one of the positions I wanted them to get at some point. Like that for them a lot, especially considering who they got. One of the very, very last picks in the draft, you're able to get a 6'2", 196-pound corner who ran a 4.45 with a 1.5, 110-yard split. Now, to put that in perspective, he ran a 4.45. That's the same 10-yard split that Darian Porter ran, who ran a 4.3 flat. So very nice get off, or shouldn't say get off for the cornerback position. Very good acceleration and twitchiness in terms of long speed. Not a great mover outside of that, but still a good overall tester. Full-sized at 6'2", 196. Getting this in the 7th, I think, is great. I don't even see how someone with this length and this athleticism could be here this late in the 7th, considering the fact that he had 2 interceptions, 5 PBUs, and only 29.9 pass rating allowed when targeted in coverage 2. Definitely some nice production for the 7th round. I definitely like this pick for them a lot. Not and I love it because there is real reasons why he is here this late. As a graduate player who only started 1 year at Florida, spent his prior 5 years at Oregon, where he did get some starts, but not a ton of consistent play for him. If he didn't work out at Florida, he definitely was not going to be able to get drafted. Like it though, has a lot of upside as someone who's full length and has some speed. If he hits his upside, starting quarterback length, starting quarterback athleticism, there's a real reason he's in the 7th. It's probably not going to happen that he reaches that total ceiling, but that ceiling is there. And to get someone with that ceiling in the 7th round, especially when you need more bodies in your cornerback room, he's going to be able to compete. Maybe not for that cornerback 3 spot or 4 spot, but he should compete to make this roster, in my opinion. And it's a very good pick. Again, a very good class. This was the Chargers class, my 14th overall class, sorry. Very good class in my opinion, a B+, liked it a lot. Can't really poke any holes in this class. One of the only classes we're going to talk about where there's just really no picks I could really critique that hard at all at any spot. Just down the board, hit their needs, got good values. I like this for them a lot. Very good class. If you liked my analysis, if you liked anything you're seeing up on the board, anything about the video, let me know. I appreciate you guys sticking around and listening to me blabble about football. It means a ton to me, more than you guys could ever know. I really appreciate it. Let me know what you guys think down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed. I really hope you guys have a great day. See you guys in the next one. Thank you.